Hello everyone. Deepali Ingle welcomes you on behalf of Saraswat International Academy, Rata Vapi. Today we are going to learn Chapter 2, Class 10th, Subject English, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, Part 1. Nelson Mandela was the first black president of South Africa. This chapter is an extract from his book Long Walk to Freedom. In this book, he is talking about his journey of how he became a freedom fighter, his struggles. He is paying tribute to other freedom fighters who were responsible for the beautiful freedom. This extract description of includes description of the inauguration ceremony, citations from his speech, his journey along with a tribute to countless people who fought for their freedom. In South Africa, a brutal practice named apartheid was followed. And what is apartheid? Apartheid refers to the discrimination between people on the basis of their race. This lesson gives us an overview how Nelson Mandela, along with others, carved their way to a society where there will be no discrimination on the basis of their color, caste, race, age, or gender. So let's move on to the lesson. 10th May dawn, bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by the dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders of South African soil. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union buildings in Pretoria. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installations of South Africa's first democratic non racial government. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as the first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. 10th May was the day when Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first president. And it was after years of struggle that his anti racist party came into power. Until then, the seat had always been occupied by the white presidents, and that is why the author referred to the day as bright and clear. It was a morning full of hope. Days before this day, many notable personalities started congratulating him for his victory for the first time in the country's history. So many international leaders came together for inauguration ceremony. The ceremony took place in an open circular building made of sandstone consisting of uni buildings in the Pretoria city. The author was accompanied by his daughter Zenani on this big day. First, the two vice presidents took an oath, and then his turn came. He committed to respect, protect, and abide by the Constitution and to devote his entire self into the welfare of the country. Here, students pleasantly means happily, and dignitaries means people of uh, importance, may be leaders or of other countries, etc. Amphitheater means open theater, and decade means period of 10 years. Pretoria. Pretoria is the capital of South Africa. Here, the author said white supremacy. That means white people were the rulers here. And he again used one phrase, rainbow gathering. That means people of different colors, caste, and creed and nation gathered here. So Nelson Mandela is calling it as rainbow gathering. Non-racial government. What is non-racial government? It is a form of government where people are not going to discriminated on the based on their racial factor. Here, to the assembled guest and watching world, I said, today all of us do to our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of the extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We, who were outlaws not so long ago, have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thank all our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. Nelson Mandela mentions some of the part of his speech, where he said that everyone by his presence was giving rise to hope for a new beginning. He is glad to host ceremony with presence of global leaders, and it was a big achievement. Now there is no segregation on the basis of race and gender, and other nations are happy to have healthy democratic relationships. Finally, they have come to power. He has also thanked everyone, especially the international leaders, for joining them in celebrating their achievement. He also mentioned that after great struggle, they have finally achieved political freedom. His government promised to free everyone from the poverty, inequalities. He then exclaims that freedom should rule and may God shower his blessings on their land. He is saying that freedom will continue to rule the country and he wants the God blessings for his people. Students, here pledge means give a solemn promise. Liberty here means they are free from white rule. Extraordinary human disaster means what? The oppression by the white on the blacks. And emancipation means freedom. And oppression, prolonged, cruel, unjust treatment. Why he is saying that? Because white oppressed the blacks for almost 300 years. Human achievement here, freedom from whites. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe of spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carries rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defense Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their royal loyalty. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. Finally, a chevron of Impala just left a smoke trail of the black red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. After his speech was over, a spectacular show of a helicopter was there. Just after the newly elected president's addresses the audience, an impressive arrangement of fighter jets, helicopter, and soldier transports raised everyone's heads up because it was so impressive in the sky. The high commanders also saluted and promised their loyalty to Nelson Mandela. The air show finally ended by making of the South African flag in the sky and the smoke beneath the jets. All the people saluted Nelson Mandela because he was the first black president at that time. Here, students, awe means full of respect and bedecked means decorated with various medals. The day was symbolized for me by playing of our two national anthems and the vision of the white singing Nosi Sikelel E Africa and black singing Dies Stem, the old anthem of the Republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised, and they would soon know the words by heart. Here, Nelson Mandela remembers the day as the playing of two national anthems of the country, one of the whites and the other that of the blacks. And on that day, no one knew the wordings, meanings of the anthem of the blacks. But here, Nelson Mandela was very confident that everyone would soon learn this anthem that they once hated. Here, students symbolized means remembered. On the day of inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after bitter Anglo-Boer War, before my own birth, the white-skinned people of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies in the world has ever known. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century and my own eighth decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedom of all problems regardless of the color of their skin. On the day of the inaugural ceremony, Nelson Mandela remembering past the inequalities and inferior treatment of dark skinned people. They were deprived and their basic fundamental rights. This system created an atmosphere of extreme cruelty and injustice for a particular part of the community. Now, in the last decade of 20th century, means he's now 80 years, that system had been overturned forever that treats human as uh, irrespective of their color, caste, gender, or age. The white people started black dominating at that time. So here, overwhelming having strong emotions. That is having strong emotions. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices. Thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or rapid. I failed that day as I have known so many other days. That I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought. That day means which day? The day when he became the president of South Africa. This equal and free country was a result of sacrifices of countless other men and women who have fought all their lives for this day. The the author Nelson Mandela wishes if he could thank them all, but unfortunately uh, they didn't live to see the result to their courage. Nelson Mandela gathered his courage and power from all these people and thus wishes to make them proud. He was feeling pain that these people are not with him at that time. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from the profound hurt, but the decades of oppression and brutally had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced the Oliver Tambo, Walter Sislers, Chief Luthosis, Yusuf Dadus, Bram Fisher, Robert Subukwe, uh, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires such depth of operation to create such heights of character. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. The operation policy. Uh, what is operation policy of apartheid? Policy discriminates people based on the race, that is blacks. The operation policy creates deep wound, scarred many people and will take a long time for them to move on. Thus, it required that leave the unjust treatment, unjust treatment means torture to produce such great heroes. He is calling them great heroes, men of such extraordinary courage. Here, who is calling them? Nelson Mandela is calling these people. And who were these people? They were, uh, these are heroes of that time. Oliver Tambo, Walter Sislers, Chief Luthosis, Yusuf Dadus, Bram Fisher, and Robert Subukwe. These extraordinary people, they have extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity. And here Nelson Mandela named a few of them mentioned, and these are the very prominent names who are struggled against the apartheid. They have raised their voice against injustice. He says, Nelson Mandela says that such men can never be found again. Also says that his country, Africa, is rich in minerals and gems, but the true gems, which are even more precious than any diamond, are the people above, which he mentioned as heroes. So, students, with this, we have completed our part 1, and the next part we will see in the second video. Thank you so much. Your homework will be revise all the word meanings. There are many new words are here in this chapter and read the chapter thoroughly. Thank you so much.